Premiership today as well. Some of the issues going on there in terms of fan behaviour. A couple of games called off actually this weekend because of referees being attacked or officials being attacked. We'll speak about that and just see where the boundaries. We've discussed before as well, fan behaviour and so on, but this does put a little bit of a different twist on it. But we'll start straight away, bring the boys in. We've got two Andrews and a Keane, and they are all keen to go, of course. Well, that's a horrible pun. But we're going to go right away. We'll speak about Burnley. So, gents, very, very warm welcome. Andrew Wees, Andrew Flint, and Keane McGivney. So I got that one. Yeah, good. Andrew, straight away, Andrew Flint, I'm going to play a little thing here before we go into this discussion. This, of course, is about a team who really have been a fairly stable and well-run Premier League outfit. Of course, we're speaking about Burnley FC. And this is the start of the reign of one Mr. Vincent Kompany, of course, the ex-Belgian international, Belgian captain, Manchester City star as well.
Of course, I like teams who are good on the ball, but if anyone's seen me play as well, I was an aggressive player. I like aggressive teams. I understand what this team has to be strong. We'll have to be aggressive. We'll have to have intensity in our game. My thing is just like, guys, can we push the back line up? Can we do it from a position where we recover the ball quicker? But can we be in control of certain games? Can we dominate? And my passion is scoring goals. And again, I'm a defender, I know. I used to be. But my passion is scoring goals. My passion is having teams who are looking at every opportunity to score a goal. So it means every phase of the game, we have a plan, we have an idea to score a goal. I don't care if it's a defensive throw-in or a corner we're defending. We clear it, we try and get on the other end and score. I don't care whether we're building up from the goalkeeper, and I'll show you a couple of images when we go in the meeting. I know that the build-up, it's like a fetish. Everybody's saying like, oh, I want to be a build-up team, and I think, you know what, let's just put this guy in that position, this guy in that position, and spread out. It's not what it is. It's not enough.
Now, it's not enough, he says, and of course, Burnley, they are going back to the Premier League. Vincent Kompany, of course, he won everything with Manchester City. He, of course, won a bronze medal with Belgium here in Russia in 2018 in the World Cup. 80-odd caps, and he's only 37 years of age, and he still looks like he can do a job. Andrew Flint, how remarkable have Burnley been as a story in the second tier? Because while the Premier League is getting a lot of the focus, the Championship is pretty decent as well this year.
Well, I mean, it's one of the most competitive leagues, arguably in world football, given the pressures to get up. I mean, the riches of the Premier League are fairly obvious. When a side drops down after a fairly decent spell, relatively solid, if unspectacular spell that Burnley had in the top flight under Sean Dyche, that's one thing. But it is more than just that, because Sean Dyche is such an iconic figure at Burnley. He imprinted such a characteristic style to them that was, I mean, it wasn't to everybody's taste, admittedly. They were a very solid, relatively defensive, but very well organised side. Vincent Kompany came in, and I think the most remarkable thing he's done is so completely change their style and successfully get up at the first time of asking. There are some huge clubs down in the second tier, some of whom have beaten the best sides in Europe in their past. And the players he's brought in have just settled right in. They look ready-made, not just to come back up, but to stay up and to entertain. That clip itself tells a story. It's unsurprising that Vincent Kompany's vision of football, coming from the footballing culture that he does and having had so much success at Manchester City as a player, that he's going to be an enterprising mind, but to change within the space, in less than a year, within a matter of weeks or months, and implement that style throughout the season, stay true to it, walk through arguably the toughest league in the world without spending a huge amount of money. Their transfer balance is effectively a 30 million profit over this season. I mean, we're almost running out of ways to compliment them. So, I mean, look, Vincent Kompany is a spectacular footballer in his time. you reeled off some statistics there. And when he says his passion is scoring goals, I forget exactly who it was against, but that strike he hit, which basically secured Manchester City one of their titles in his last season, I think it was, from about 30 yards out. This is a centre-back, apparently a defender. I mean, there are a million ways you could say how good he is, but I think to revolutionise an entire style in such a short space of time, under virtually no expenditure, and to such great success is quite remarkable. I don't think many people could manage that.
Yeah, I mean, again, he comes from a culture where playing football is good, but also defending. Like the Belgians were never pushovers. They have never been pushovers. You just look and say who's still there, like Kevin De Bruyne and the ability he has, all the way back to the Verkouteren and Schifo back in the 80s and the 90s. They were all very solid, tough players. I mean, Belgian football was one of the best in Europe at the time. I mean, with Anderlecht, of course, one of the star teams in Europe. Okay, whatever they had about paying referees and all that sort of stuff, they still were a damn good side. I know not Forest will disagree with me on that, or the fans will anyway. Cian, on this, I mean, they're coming out of a division. It looks like they're going to win, and unfortunately, Richard Poxon's team, Sheffield United, they're going to come up, but they're going to come up in second. Then you've got playoffs then for Luton, Middlesbrough, Coventry, and Sunderland. And Coventry, of course, not the long ago, were basically gone, done, and dusted, bankrupt. Sunderland were even in worse shape. We saw how they were dropping out of the divisions, and that, like Sunderland Till I Die, which was it was like a cry from the soul and a cry for help. And basically, if Sunderland were a horse that time, you'd put a bullet to the head and shoot it. I mean, that was it. Like Coventry, likewise. I mean, they couldn't even have their own stadium. I mean, it was insane. Luton, Jesus, I mean, they've been up and down into the non-league as well. Middlesbrough were relatively crap, but still, they had those great days, of course, with Ravanelli and so on back, and and Juninho back in the early stage of the Premier League. But if Burnley come back up with Kompany, because he's done well, of course, when he went over with Anderlecht as player manager, then manager, but if they come back up, Cian, will Burnley stay in the top flight? Will they need to actually spend some money to stay there?
Well, they will spend money. There's no question of that. All of these teams that have come up spend, I suppose, QPR spent heavily and got it wrong, but managed to stay in the division, and then went down after one season or two seasons. I can't remember exactly sure. Excuse me. But I definitely think they are going to have to spend probably in key positions and bring in probably another striker, a couple of midfielders, the usual, couple of defenders just to back up what they have. But knowing Vincent Kompany and the way he's got Burnley playing this year, they won't neglect those principles when they do get back into the Premier League. They'll probably very much in the mold of the way Blackpool did it when they got into the Premier League, and they'll stick to their principles. But you can be sure there will be an awful lot more solid, and you can be again damn sure that they will solidify themselves. And if they have to defend, they will do so. And if they have to play the way they played the Championship when the opportunity arises, they will do that as well. But they'll definitely stick true to the principles. I think that clip of Vincent Kompany proves that he's definitely a manager that's willing to allow his players keep possession when they have it.
Now, of course, he went down to QPR, of course, down in I think they're just in the barely inside the top half of the table in the Championship. However, there is an investigation about to be launched into players being rested, a weakened team being fielded by Vincent Kompany. Where a league or where any other team could get off by saying you're playing a weakened team, it's not like Andrew Weiss, that they're playing a team to tank. They're not tanking. They're just literally resting players. Where does that kind of bite point come? Because you've been coaching, you've been a championship winning coach. Where does it come when you actually have to rest a player, Andrew, to get them going?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a long season. And like Andrew said, the Championship is as gritty and as competitive a league as possible. And Burnley's 8-10 points clear right now, but teams are all running on fumes by this point in the season. You're getting those injuries that aren't going away. They feel like they're pretty comfortably, in first, and they're good in a good spot there. And so I can see as a coach that you'd want to rest some guys a weekend team, probably, yeah, when you look on paper and see who was starting for them in that game, it was definitely a weekend side, but it's not like there's any, I don't know, there's no motivation for them to just, phone it all in at this point. They're going to keep playing, and there's strategic decisions that have to be made to rest some players. And so, I mean, you might see some complaints about it, but from the coaching side of it, I totally get it. And don't blame him one bit for doing so.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think anyone who has played the game as well and has coached the game, not just watched it, not so well, like you watched it as well, but anyone who kind of understands it, they know that you have to try and give guys a break. Now, of course, losing is not something that Kompany really is happy with. That this is a reaction that the guys, the language I just will warn is a little bit iffy at parts, but it's well worth a watch.
Listen, no misunderstanding. There's one fucking side of me that you haven't fucking seen, boys. Number one, West, whether we play with 3, 4, 5, 6, it's my fucking decision. And I take the responsibility if we lose and if we don't perform well. The second thing, John, last time I talked about your attitude, you come off, I don't need a fucking smile, but I need the attitude. That's perfect. You were not good, just like all the other one. I could have taken off from Hendrik to the last one without anyone complaining. Today, we deserve to lose anyway. We can be fucking happy with 1 point. 95 minutes, we just wasted time. You wasted your time, I wasted my time. It was better not to come. It was better to send the under-21s.
Well, I think it's quite clear his attitude about who to send and who not to send. But in any case, going to ask you all, we'll round this up and move on to our next one, more interesting one. Keane, Burnley, will they stay up next year?
I think they will.
Okay. Andrew F?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they already have a platform. They'll add some better players. Just one little thing, though. If Vincent Kompany keeps up that sort of performance, as in for the cameras, does he back it up with the ability at a higher level?
Ooh.
Question marks.
Okay. Andrew Rees?
Yeah, I think they'll stay up. I think I think it's there. I think the system's there. I think they're playing within their means. They're spending within their means. And once they get that bump of English Premier League money, they'll be fine. I don't see them dropping back one season in.